And do this. Let's see. We can do this real quick. Okay. Today's day 106. It's April, I don't know, April something. Reading today is 1 Kings 10 through 11. It talks about, my feet are in there. It talks about Sheba, Queen Sheba, coming to see Solomon and ask him a bunch of questions. Yeah, this thing keeps moving because I'm holding it. So now, the thing about it is, Solomon was considered wise. It says here, King Solomon explained everything she asked about, and there remained nothing hidden from him that he could not explain to her. You know what makes this sound not true? Is the fact that none of the things she asked was recorded, and none of the things he answered was, and how he answered was not recorded. You see what I'm saying? So, anyways, apparently he gave her a lot of stuff. It talks about how, well, she gave him a lot of stuff too, because it said that, she arrived with camels and stuff. But, spices and stones and gold. So I'm assuming she brought this. Why would she need all that stuff? I mean, maybe the spices she would need. But I think the spices they mostly used for offerings and scenting their house. I don't think they used it as much. I don't think when they talk spices, I don't think it's necessarily like the spices we think, where we're using it strictly for cooking, because we don't consider aromatherapy spices. Really, I rarely ever hear it used in that context. So I think more for them it was the spices were for. Oh, my battery's dying, so I gotta go. Okay, anyways, I gotta go. My battery's dying. So anyways, chapter 11. I'm just gonna skip over chapter 10. Chapter 11. There was one thing that said Solomon was evil in God's eyes, and the reason he was evil is because he was. Okay, it talks about him being some holy whore. Just total whore. He had like 700 cherubim or something. I can't remember. Battery's running dead. So, anyways, and God's only reason that he didn't want these men to whore around with these women is what they call strange women, is because the strange women would lead him to other gods. How does that even work? You have 700 wives. You think one is going to affect them and how they worship? And what does it even mean? What are these other gods? Gods are just all these other gods. Are they real? Are they not real? What does it matter if they're not real? And if they are real, why would you not worship them? What makes you a better God than the other ones? But anyways, so God was mad at Solomon simply because of that. Because he was not because he was a two-bit whore, but because he was worshiping other gods. So anyways, he said that he promised, God said to Solomon, I promised that David that I wouldn't harm you. So what I'm going to do is your son's going to pay for your sins. Okay, here's the daily dose of misogyny. First thing, why aren't females allowed to inherit stuff? Second thing, this is not misogyny, but second thing, why should the sons pay for the father's sins? I don't even understand that. This is a God that's a dick. Anyways, if you don't think your God's an asshole, you have not read the Bible. Anyway, so that's what that was. Solomon was such a bad person because he worshipped other gods. Not because he was a two-bit whore, but because he was spreading sexually transmitted infections everywhere, but because he was worshiping other gods. Now here's the gig. how in this text, I think it was chapter 10, it does say that Solomon went and killed a whole bunch of people and slaughtered all the men. Well, that's how he got all his wives. His wives were sex slaves. They weren't his wives, they were his sex slaves. I wish the Bible would get this correct. That's how he got all these women. They're his sex slaves. So they're being raped on a daily basis. So God's mad, not about the rapes, not about, killing a whole bunch of people for no reason. It's not about making women sex slaves, making them have to perform sex to somebody they don't want to. It's not about him spreading his sexually transmitted diseases among everybody. It's because he's worshiping a different God. Your God's an asshole. If that's not an asshole, then no, such a thing doesn't exist.